start.
Hey Saul, thanks for taking the time today to talk to me. How are you?
Hey, Krishna. I'm fine, man. Thanks for the invite. I'm glad to be here.
So, Saul was my roommate in Barcelona, and in France, we studied together, right?
Yeah, correct.
So, Saul, we both did the same master's program, and I was wondering, uh, why did you do the master's program to begin with? Because you had pretty good experience in um, Mexico already. So, why did you decide to do your master's abroad?
Yeah. So basically, I think it was kind of an accident in the beginning, but it all started like with my desire to go to Europe. I mean, just as a backstory, I studied industrial engineering, and while I was studying in Mexico, I did an internship in Germany. I studied there like 6 months in Germany, and then also an internship there. And when I realized like the good work life quality that you have, I thought it was just maybe all Europe, but in Germany at least it was pretty good. I thought I had to stay here, and I tried applying to jobs. Anyway, I had to go back to Mexico for one more year of studies, and yeah, I kind of failed. I was not able to land a job, and even though I put a lot of effort back then to learn the language, now I cannot say I speak it anymore, but I tried at least. And I don't know, by kind of luck, I ended up working in Atlanta in the States, but it was not what I expected. So I was working as an engineer there. They recruited people from Mexico. And I mean, it was, the company was nice and the people were nice and everything. I'm not going to speak bad about the company. It's just that the days off were too few. So, and the work was maybe too intense. So I don't know. After like a year, I was like thinking if I had made it the good decision or not, until I just decided like maybe I have to stop and look for an opportunity abroad. Abroad, I mean in Europe, because we had the opportunity in Mexico to get scholarships. So that was where the idea came out. I felt a bit worn out, and I thought maybe I just go for a vacation, a paid vacation. That's what I thought at the beginning, right? And I didn't know what I was getting into when I saw this like data mining, or well, back then it was called data mining, then it changed to data science or masters. I thought, yeah, I'll apply. Maybe they they accept me, and maybe they give me the scholarship. And yeah, everything went well. So then I arrived to France, and I met you there.
Great. So I really like the point where you were saying about quality of life. And I want to tell you what's difference between living in Mexico versus living in US and why Europe is like something that you really enjoyed living here. So what was your thinking process?
Yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of differences, right? Because I guess it's natural. You always want to be around your people, right? So I cannot say I don't miss Mexico. Of course, I miss it. I basically it's more about like the family and people there, or maybe it's because I'm from a warmer country, and I feel kind of the distance when I'm here in this like not only the weather, right, but also the distance in between the people here. By the way, I'm in Sweden now. I don't know if it was mentioned, but after the masters, I ended up working in Sweden. And but what I was saying was about work-life balance. It's that you work like the hours that are necessary here, and it's not really well seen that you work extra time here in Sweden, at least. Even in Germany, I remember that was my experience. I don't know what's yours right now in your company, but in Mexico, if you leave at the hour when it's supposed to finish, it's kind of frowned upon. Like, why is this guy leaving early? And that I think is kind of stressful. Maybe at the end of the day, you enjoy a lot the company of the people, and it's you have a good time. but you barely have time for yourself. That's what I think, or at least maybe that's what that was what I was afraid of, and I tried to escape to Europe, looking for this. Um, and I guess that was what kind of triggered me to try. I never really worked full time as a full time employee in Mexico. Was more doing internships before I graduated, and since then, I mean, I've been trying to move around. In the States, I believe it's kind of like Mexico, but a bit more money. Um, and what I also like and appreciate from here, at least in my city, Monterrey, similar to Atlanta, you cannot get by without a car. You have to drive everywhere, and you don't really realize because you're used to it. But when you come to Europe and then you see you don't really need to move by car, it adds up to your life. I mean, you have extra time. If you're in the bus, you can be reading. If you go maybe by bike, you have a different experience. That I like it from here.
Right. And I also wanted to kind of understand what was your application process for this master's program? How did you know about it? And
Yeah.
did you apply to other universities in Europe?
Yeah. No, actually, I think I was kind of lucky. It was kind of a recommendation from my dad. Well, I tried to see what were the areas that they were giving scholarships for, right? And that was one of like the hot topics. I always liked statistics, and I always liked operations and research in my master's. And I thought, like, it's compatible. My dad was pushing, like, yeah, this is the future. You should like go into this path. And I thought, like, okay, let's try. But while looking to it, I had in my mind a lot of also the kind of restriction of being in a place where there must be some climbing, at least, right? And when I found this program was like France and Spain, which are like two great climbing places, I thought, oh, wow, this is the one. Plus, it was in English, right? Because if you look for like this kind of masters in Germany, they were in German, and in my level, it was not that good, or at least those were the ones that I found um, in German. So yeah, that was like the only option. I applied to it, and I don't know, kind of lucky, I guess. I didn't really think that it would be hard. I just thought I mean, like, yeah, why not? Why wouldn't they accept me?
So you just applied to one university and you got through.
Yeah. Not the same case with jobs.
Okay.
That was more challenging.
We'll get to that soon. I wanted to ask, so let's say that now you're inside the master's program, like what did you do next? Like how hard was the program and how did you survive?
Yeah, it was pretty hard for me because I believe like in this program, it was kind of expected that you were a software developer. That was my impression, and I wasn't. I mean, my focus was more into statistics, and even though I was not a statistician, but it was too much into software development, and it was kind of hard. So how did I survive there? I had my good friend Krishna to help me out on the first year when I was really lost, and we worked hard. I remember that we were gathering every day to do extra courses in the mornings before going to school. So it was a cool process, man. It was a lot of dedication, I guess. At the end of the day, I think that's one of like my main characteristics. It's that I'm persistent. So if I put my head into something, I just try until I get there. I get through that.
Right. So I was wondering if you could explain to our listeners, like, what was this master's program? What was its name? And a little bit more about mobility and travel, especially in Europe.
What do you mean about mobility and travel?
Like
You mean in
we had,
general?
yeah, in general, like we spent a semester in France and then in Spain.
Oh, about the masters. Okay.
Yeah. And
So yeah, the master's program was called Data Mining and Knowledge Management. In short, we called it DMKM. DMKM. Oh, I forgot now. But yeah, the DMKM. The whole idea of this was that we spent 1 year in France doing like the introduction, And then the second year we had options. I remember even in the first year we had options. We had 3 different cities. We had Lyon, Paris, and Nantes, or I forgot how it's pronounced, but in Spanish we call it Nantes. That's how I read it. And I chose Lyon because of climbing. Right. At the end of the day, they all were a bit different in terms of focus, but I just thought like just climbing. I'll do this one. I don't remember. I think we're not enough people, and we ended up only being one group in Lyon. Is it the case,
Yeah.
Krishna? Or yeah, because there was another guy in Paris, but I think he changed masters maybe.
Right. And I
Yeah.
was in Nantes and I moved to Lyon.
Right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who in their sane head will choose Nantes? What's there? It's a small city, right?
Yeah. I was there for like the cheap housing and the
Okay.
less tuition.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know
And
about
speak,
that.
Indians like try to save money wherever they can. So I was like, like a sort by lowest living expense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I get it now. So, and then after that, I don't know if we had to make the decision beforehand, but I was already fixated that I was going to Barcelona afterward, to Spain. But there was also the option of Italy. I don't know which city, I forgot, and Budapest or something.
Romania. Romania.
Romania.
Yeah.
Yeah. You see, like even though it was my master, I didn't pay attention to that because I already knew
You were
that I wanted to go
climbing.
to Spain. Yeah, yeah. And at some point when I now that I remember, when I saw that you came from Nantes and that we were not enough people, I did get a bit worried whether it will continue or not, and whether we will be respected on going to all the universities, because at least in France we were only 6 people for all of the courses. We were not mixed with anyone else, which was a different case for us. Krishna, you and me were together in Barcelona. We were mixed with other people. I don't know, because I didn't really kept much track with the guys from Italy, whether they mix with people or not, or they were only having like courses by themselves. Because from the 6, we ended up splitting in 3 and 3, right? They went to Milan, maybe Italy, somewhere in Italy.
Yeah.
And say something.
Yeah, exactly. So it was really, really interesting for me because one good thing out of this was that we were just 6 people, and for 6 people having one teacher is great, right? There was like a good amount of interaction with the teacher. But in Barcelona, in Spain, it was completely different, right? You were in a big class with like 20, 30 people. So
Yeah.
it was really, so the European government was spending a lot of money on us in France, actually.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I thought we paid a lot.
Well, I think we paid very less. Like if you would try to do the same masters today, it would be a
You're
lot
right.
more expensive.
You're right. Maybe you're right. Yeah.
Because even in
Yeah. Yeah.
Germany,
Because it was part of a European um, program, right? I mean, it was supposed to be for free if you got like the
scholarship.
proper scholarship, but then they just canceled that for our year,
Yeah.
right? No
Yeah.
one had it for free.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
bastards.
do you remember how much we paid for it for the 2 years? So how much was our expense for 2 years? Do you have a track of that?
No, I had a scholarship, to be honest. I was from my government. So they paid the tuition, and I had like a 1,000 euro allowance. So
Okay.
that was the decision, right? That's why I went through it, because I wouldn't just go and pay a lot for something I didn't even know about. You know, for me it was a bit of just luck and just trying to get away from the being overworked in the States. That's how I
Awesome.
felt. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was
So
a,
yeah, I was a bit lucky.
yeah. I think for you it was a great option. Like for me, it was like I had to make this work because
Yeah.
I had taken some money from my parents, and I had spent around 20,000 euros, including, like, I just think about it, like at the
Yeah.
end, like, and I was able to pay it back quite fast. But for me, it was like I really had to like nail this
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So,
That's brave, man.
well, I think it was great for all of us because from what I remember is that all of us are doing really well, right? All the six of us. I mean, we are all in Europe and
Yeah.
working in great companies.
Yeah, I lost a bit of track of the other people, but there was I know there's this other Mexican, Carlos, and he ended up marrying someone in France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some found love also.
Yeah. Yeah.
And tell me about like how you moved from France to Spain, and more on like about finding a house in Spain and settling there, and how was the
Yeah. Why,
masters?
why don't you tell us about how was the finding a house in Spain, man? Since
It's
we live together.
yeah, I spoke to Azmat. I also recorded her podcast. So
Uh-huh.
she was saying that for 1 year she moved 9 houses because she could not find a nice place to stay. And I was just telling her that I'm so lucky that I had Saul to just find a nice house for me, and I just moved in immediately.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember it was I don't know, Facebook or something. Um, no, I already had some friends from Mexico who did the same, like going to a master's in Europe, but they had their 2 years in Spain. So I benefited from their experience. When we finished in France, I was going to go to Mexico to just visit before starting in Spain. But I moved everything to Spain first because I already had a place to leave my stuff. And I asked them how to find a place and everything. And I already knew that you were counting on me. So yeah, we found this lady who, yeah, you contact her and then you ask her if they have, like, I think they manage different flats. They're not the owners, but they get a commission or something. And yeah, we found a flat for four there. And I think we met Violette in Facebook, and then she was there living with us. So we did this for, I think, 6 months, right?
Right.
Because it was like not not um, not guaranteed. So the second part of the program was 6 months in the university and then an internship wherever you find one. And it's not guaranteed that it's in the same city. You could maybe do it everywhere in Europe or even in other country, which was continent, which I think is what you did in Canada. But yeah, I mean, this lady helped us find a place for four. We find like at the time, my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, she also came for a master's, and then we find another girl, Violette, in Facebook, and we made a team of four people living there in Barcelona in the center. So it was a nice location. The house had a bit of problems with like
Everything.
yeah, everything, and then we were getting the blame. They wanted to charge us a lot. So crazy stories, I guess, as a student.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was not that hard. Then after the 6 months, I got lucky because one of my friends from Spain bought a flat and he wanted to rent it. So I gathered other people since you were leaving as well, and I continued living there for the rest of the year. So I was kind of lucky. It was easy.
Right. I wanted to go back to studies, and in
Yeah.
those 2 years, which was the hardest subject, and how did you manage to work through it?
Wow, you're putting me on the spot, man. I don't feel there was like the hardest subject. I remember feeling fear sometimes that I wouldn't make it, but I don't know. I've always been good at exams, so I was more scared of the projects. Uh, I yeah, it was more the homeworks where I was a bit more challenged. the projects. I think in Spain they were more hardcore, right? Because
Right.
it was more like every week deliver, 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 deliver. And I cannot say which one was the hardest one. There's one that I didn't really enjoy much, but maybe because I didn't really feel like it was a good course. The one of biostatistics. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I remember.
The Yeah, the professor was like a machine. He was really good at what he was doing, and also good at, I think, one kind of dance. He had he was a DJ plus had a book, something like that. But nevertheless, he was not a good teacher.
Yeah,
He was a good researcher, I guess, or a good developer.
he was a very famous professor, but he just didn't care. He didn't teach at all in the class.
Yeah,
He would just give us some problems and sit in the side, right?
yeah. And then we just had to like submit the answer in the platform, and if it wasn't what he expected, it was wrong. No feedback. It was hard, to be honest.
Yeah.
I remember his exam. I mean, normally I always do good at school because I always did good at school as a kid, and even in high school and university. In the master was a bit more challenging. To be honest, I had to push hard to do good. But I remember that course, right? That the final exam was worth 20 points of the final, and I was like, I'm already passed. I just entered. I went climbing instead of studying, and I just like put whatever, and I just submitted. I was like, there
Yeah.
we go. I'm done with this course.
And
That's my most rebel experience in an exam.
and that's nice in a way also, because in Spain we were judged not on the final exam, but more on the practical stuff we did or the projects we did,
Yeah,
right? And that was 50% of our grade.
yeah. Which was different in France, right? It was almost everything, maybe 100% on the exam,
Right, exactly.
right?
Yeah. And coming back to the topic of travel, so you said that you traveled to Germany, and then you were in France, Spain, and now you're in Sweden. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to get a perspective on like lifestyle. Uh, do you think is there a country that you want to stay for a longer period of time? What are the pros and cons? And where will you be in future? And if I had to pick up masters, which country should I go to?
So yeah, there's a lot of perspectives to see for an answer of this, right? Like, if you want to do a master's, I think it depends whether you're European or not. If you're European, in Sweden it's free, so it's a great advantage. But if you're not European, then you have to pay, and the life expenses are more elevated if you don't work here, right? Once you're working here, I mean, it's everyone has like a good salary, but it's basically kind of like medium, right? You start high, and then you don't go higher up so much compared to other countries where you start low and then you can go up a lot. But in terms of study, I mean, if you're European, maybe this is the place. If not, honestly, it depends what topic you want to study, right? Barcelona was a nice city, so you have a lot of things to do there. Right now, with all this COVID situation, I mean, that changes, right? But if you have to study from home, doesn't really matter where you are. Hopefully, next year everything is better, right? Let's
Yeah.
see. In terms of if this is a place where I would like to stay forever, um, definitely it's a good place to live. I struggle with the weather, but it's a great place to have a family. You have a lot of aid from the government. Your kids, you have not to worry about healthcare or anything of that until they're 18. So it helps you a lot in that kind of way. You pay also a lot of taxes. So I mean, if you make a lot of money, maybe you will think that you're better off being somewhere else and paying for that yourself. But at least here you don't have to worry, right? Like, if you want to take a break and don't not work for a year, that part is covered. You already paid the taxes for that. And if you don't have enough, then you also get the benefits, which I think is kind of nice. But at the end of the day, I'm Mexican and my family is there, and I would like to go back at some point, right? I just think my goal right now is to become European, because then I have the choice. Like right now, if I stop working in this company, then I don't get to stay here, and then everything is more limited. Like even to go to the US, I have to apply for a visa every like 10 years. Right now it's expired. I cannot enter the US, for example. Have to wait until I become European, and then I don't need a visa anymore. You don't have to do this process of interviews and everything in Mexico. Um, so that's one good point, I guess. What about you? Do you want to stay in Germany?
So I don't know. I'm here for the learning and trying to see what I can learn from the environment, from people. But like I said, probably I'll go back to India after some time because of family and everything. But it's a good way to open perspectives and meet new people. And
Yeah,
here, people are very professional also, I would say. So it's a great learning place.
yeah. I think you will find that in any country, right? In our area, you just
Yeah.
like it's more kind of similar everywhere. It's just about whether the country is something that you like as a place to have a family, or like stay there and retire. I guess we all want to retire at the end in our place
Yeah,
where we're from.
exactly.
Yeah,
Earlier the better.
exactly.
So I wanted to go back to the question about finding internships. How did you
Yeah,
approach that problem?
this is a good question, I think, for me, because I've done this process in both in Germany and in the masters, right? And I found out in Germany I was not lucky at all. Some friends were super lucky. First thing place they applied, they got them. At the end of the day, I mean, as an intern, sometimes it's luck. Sometimes you just the guys who are in the place don't expect anything from the intern. We just hire one, and so no, we hired two, and you just expect that they are eager. That's it. That's all you expect from them, and then you evaluate how they are performing. And normally, if they're eager, they will perform well. Uh, but back then in Germany, I had to apply in German, so that was a bit more challenging, and I was applying to like a lot. We didn't have LinkedIn back then, but my process was apply endlessly, and I had a script in German. I was modifying it, so it was more about uh, talk about yourself and blah 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 in German, right? Just trying to control the conversation. And at the end, I got something, and I didn't even know what it was because I didn't understand. That was funny. But after like 15 interviews, I guess, in German, while I was getting better, in Spain, it was a bit different. So I already had this experience from Germany, and I already thought that that was not an easy thing to do. So my way to go forward, because well, back then you had to make an account on every company and then like apply through their web portal and so on, and that's a bit like tedious. It takes a lot of time. And so what I ended up doing in Spain was use LinkedIn. This easy applies didn't exist back then, and also they're good or better for like a job position, but for an internship, I was just writing data scientists, looking for all the data scientists in Spain, and then I did like a little not it was not a bot, but it was like a script where I just had like a Excel file with like the person that I found, the link, and then I was just generating like a text like, hey, I've seen you work in this company with this position. I was just wondering if you guys are looking for an internship. We need to do our thesis. It was also special because we had to do a master thesis, and they will have to be willing to pay a bit more than the normal rate, because that was what our university wanted. And we had the constraint of a university, because I found one where it was a company I would have liked to work for. Um, but the position they could have given me weren't fit for the internship, for the thesis, right? So yeah, just applying a lot, and then I found my currently my boss Alberto Barroso. He's the director of the unit. He just answered me like, yeah, come this week and let's have a chat. So I talked with him, and he was moving to another company, and he said like, you can make your thesis with us, and that's how I ended up doing my thesis in EY. So at the end, it's a bit of networking, I guess. So you can always apply and you get a response. Sometimes you're lucky, sometimes it's a bit harder, but good networking always helps a lot.
Right. And I also wanted to talk to you about hard work. We were very interested in like doing the MOOCs also.
Yeah.
And I remember doing this analytics edge with you, which was really,
Yeah.
really hard MOOC. And I was wondering about if you could explain more about your interest with R and um, what made you like take up this field in general of data science.
So, I mean, at the beginning, I wanted to be a data analyst. I didn't know what I was doing there, like programming and so. But then I started to get the like for it, and started with R, and then I think would have been better to have changed sooner to Python because everyone is using Python now. But now it changed to Python, and so it's okay. It's nice. You normally you like to have different projects and get like new kind of challenges, but sometimes you just get stuck in one project, which I think is life, and it becomes more repetitive. But um, we are there. Continue looking forward. I don't know what was the question exactly. Did
So
I answer it?
yeah. So I was just asking about you were really interested in R during the masters, and I was wondering where that kind of drive came from because we did some really hard courses in R, for example, the analytics
Yeah.
edge.
Well, I was back then. I was just thinking on going through the masters smoothly and be able to get a job because the way I saw it was I had to become good at this, or at least decent enough, above average, because this is my path to staying my path of staying in Europe. Otherwise, why will they sponsor someone from outside? It's a bit more costly for the company to sponsor a visa, you know. That's basically that was my mentality.
Right. And one thing I really liked during we did very good collaboration during our masters, especially in Spain, because
Yeah.
I would ask you to help me with all our assignments, and in turn I would like work on the Python assignments, and we had a good
Yeah,
collaboration that way. So
I remember.
so I just felt that I had a really good time during the masters because we were not always studying. We had time to go out and meet people and spend weekends uh, doing our own thing.
Yeah, which I guess that was a bit different from France, right?
Yeah,
I felt it was much more intense in France, but maybe sometimes I think about it, like maybe because it was much more intense in France, besides because we were also doing our extra courses, maybe that allowed us to have a smoother uh, experience in Barcelona. And it
yeah,
was also only 6 months. It was not the full year.
yeah. Cool. Saul, thank you so much for this and talk to you
No,
later then.
yeah, great.
Bye.
Krishna.